Maybe, maybe next time I cut the grass, I come over for a peppermint.
Yeah, you get you a peppermint. It's just like leaving Texas Roadhouse after you ate. You get you a peppermint on the way out, you know?
Hello and welcome everyone to episode 11 of The Mashup, the best bourbon conversation you're going to hear all week long. We're your hosts, Michael, Anthony, and Steven. Hey fellas.
What's up, guys?
Hey, it's nice to see you guys.
Oh, man, I'm telling you what. I feel like it's been a long time since we've done this.
I agree. I was thinking about that right before you guys came over.
Now, don't hate me for this, but the weather's warming up. I'm now in seltzer mode. Get me some Bud Light seltzers. I drank a couple of those today.
Are those your RTDs?
Oh man, those are my go-to. When this weather starts getting nice, you can just pop open a seltzer. Make fun of me all you want. I don't care.
I had 2 pints of them yesterday.
I mean, you could say only women drink them, but I don't care. And I've tried them all. Trust me. The last year, we've had nothing to do around the house, so my wife and we tried every different brand of seltzer, and we've come up with Bud Light seltzer is our favorite.
Well, first of all, I will say that I think that White Claw is more on trend, correct?
Oh yeah, the White Claws are.
Well, it's trend, but it's also better than some others.
Okay.
They're a close second.
But going on the close second, what is your favorite then Bud Light seltzer? We got to hear now.
Well, that's funny because I actually told my wife this tonight. I said I think I'm coming around to the lemon lime as my favorite now.
Ah.
Yeah, like it's kind of got a Sprite though,
right.
like, taste to it. My wife likes cranberry, but that's only in variety pack number 2 and at Christmas. So, you gotta look around for those.
Yeah.
Black seltzer or black cherry is always the go-to, and mango, that's always a popular one. But I think lemon lime is just, I don't know, it's just right on. And they've got some new ones that they've only released this is like Bourbon Talk, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they only release in Florida and a few other states, and so
limited releases.
Yeah, and so we're heading to Florida in a couple weeks, so we're actually excited to see if we can find them when we get down there. We're gonna cross the state line. The first liquor store we see, we're gonna stop and see if we can get some Bud Light seltzers.
Well, I'm excited. I'm taking notes over here because I'm a moron. When I go out and cut the grass in the summer, I'm the kind of guy that goes to the fridge, and what do I see? I see all the leftover beer from the winter, which is a bunch of stouts and things like that. And I'm over here drinking Goose Island in the middle of the summer.
No, I can't do that.
Then I got, I'm bloated for like 17 hours. So I think I'm going to have to try out these seltzers.
Just so nice and refreshing.
They're light,
yeah,
easy to drink. I think Kroger and Sam's Club now sell a case of them in the 16-ounce cans.
Oh, yeah, the big ones.
It's a good deal.
Well, I think that you guys have ignited my passion now. I'm not really tiptoed in that territory, but I will
say we bought the Christmas pack back in December, and we have intentionally avoided the ginger snap and peppermint ones because those sounded absolutely disgusting. And
peppermint seltzer?
I got 3 or 4 of them in my fridge right now. If anybody wants
cow.
one, I'll give them to you for less than secondary.
Maybe next time I cut the grass, I come over for a peppermint.
Yeah, get you a peppermint. It's just like leaving Texas Roadhouse after you ate. You get you a peppermint on the way out, I sat around last night, watched some Texas and Abilene Christian. I was drinking a little bourbon, had some early times, bottled in Bond, while I was sitting there watching the game. So, it was a good time.
Nice. So, what were you drinking this weekend, Steven?
Well, it's Michael. Out in the sun. Well, speaking of Bottle and Bond, that rolls right into our selection for this evening. It is a New Riff Bottle and Bond Bourbon.
All right. Yes. So New Riff is a distillery in Newport, Kentucky. Real quickly, so the brand of New Riff, they basically started as a sourced bourbon. Well, not really New Riff itself, but they were called OKI. So it was the original founder of Party Source who started this company, and they were originally sourcing from MGP, and then they decided to do away with all that when they started their distillery operations not that long ago. I feel like it was in 2014. Maybe I might got that wrong, but hopefully not.
I think you're right.
14. So here we go. So Bottle and Bond, this is a 4-year-old small batch bourbon, and it comes in at 100 proof. This is a 2021 bottle, but it is 4 years old. The thing that I want to say quickly about it is New Riff is doing a lot of great things. And when I say they're doing a lot of great things, I mean coming off the sourcing of the bourbon for OKI, you'd think like, well, what can they do with their own product at 4 years old? And they've really made a lot of waves. Their barrel selection program is just really popular, and they're just doing a lot of excellent things. I don't know what else I can say about it. It's just amazing stuff that they're doing there.
For those that may not know what OKI is, people are going to laugh once they hear what it stands for, but...
Yeah, so OKI was Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, and...
Wasn't there a car parts store that was KOI?
Yeah, KOI.
Which was the same 3 states, just in a different order. So.
And honestly, when OKI was out, it used to sit hard on the shelves. Nobody was buying it. Of course, we've all, I think all of us here have tasted it, have all enjoyed it. I know I had multiple bottles of it. I wish I would have bought cases of it, but it is what it is. And now we're on to New Riff, which the OKI label is back, but it's back under a different owner. It's not under the same owners as the New Riff.
So like
distillery.
3 or 4 years ago, I found myself at a liquor store. They had gotten a case of OKI 12 in, and they got a lot of stuff in that day. Like, there were about 7 or 8 of us there when the truck came, and the OKI I knew was good stuff. Like, I went through the line. I got an OKI 12. We were still the only people there after that. By the way, if you're listening, that you're never going to have this happen in 2021. So there was still nobody else there, so I went through the line again, and the guy in front of me, a really nice guy, I know him, he was trying to decide what he wanted to get his second time through. He ended up getting an OWA, which, hey, it's Weller. Everybody wants a Weller, right? Yeah. So he got OWA, which allowed me to get a second bottle of OKI, because in theory, he had gotten that ahead of me. I wouldn't have been able to get that. And I think I'd have been stuck with the OWA or a 175 of Eagle Rare, and ain't nobody got a shelf big enough for that bottle. So anyway, I was able to get 2 OKI 12s. I ended up selling them. I'm not gonna lie, I was flipping that baby, But now it's like, I wish I had held on to it.
Yeah.
Just held on to it for a couple of years, and I could have easily gotten $400 or $500 for it now. But,
oh yeah,
it was just wild, right place at the right time. And
yeah. Those bottles that used to sit are now worth a pretty penny.
Oh.
But even though those are long gone, I'm excited to talk about and try this one tonight for sure.
And New Riff is one of those that's like, coming to Kentucky to do the Bourbon Trail, they're not anywhere near it. They're in northern Kentucky. They're right across the river from Cincinnati, so they're a couple hours from Bardstown, and you got to plan like almost an extra day, if that's something you want to go and see. But it's cool because they've done a really good job they're in a really urban market. They're basically downtown, very little space, but they've built themselves a nice distillery in the parking lot of their liquor store they own. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure do they still own a Party Source or not, but
yeah, no, I don't think they're allowed to. That's what I think I read that somewhere.
Yeah, well, one quick thing that I wanted to mention about this that I forgot to talk about when I was talking about the bottle before we talk about the shape and the actual look of this bottle. This is actually a 65% corn, 30% rye, and 5% malted barley for the mash bill. And so it comes in as a high rye bourbon. And that will be important to remember because where they were originally sourcing from MGP is also considered to be a high rye bourbon. I think they've kind of carried on the tradition. But what do we think of the bottle, gentlemen?
Man, to me, it's one of the best bottles out there. It's not a traditionalist, I don't think, is going to like it, because it's got that gradient kind of design to it where the top is black, so you can't really see how much is in there. I think Anthony mentioned that earlier, that you don't know how much you drank when you got the bottle, and then the bottom part is clear. So I guess when you get to the clear part and you can see the wall behind you, it's probably time to get another bottle, right? So.
Yeah, and you're also probably thinking to yourself, if that you see that clear part when you just opened it, then you're like, oh, I better be watch what I'm doing here.
Well, we both commented, Stephen commented, everything is on the bottle, right? Mm-hmm. So, the mash bill's on the bottle, the age is on the bottle, all the information about the distillery is on the bottle, the proof is on the bottle, everything is on the bottle, right? So he didn't have to look anything up. Doesn't appear to be any secrets with them. It's on there. It does say it was bottled in the spring of 2021. Now, look, I know we're in Kentucky and it gets warm a little bit earlier than the first day of spring. But, we're 2 days into spring, and they said this was bottled in spring of 2021.
It's hot off the rick house.
It is hot off. There's a good chance this thing was not bottled in the last 2 days, right? So, 3 days.
If it were bottled that quickly, then, this is amazing.
A month ago,
the freshest.
A month ago, we had an ice storm, so it's hard to say that was spring, right? So,
yeah. Oh,
But
my
no, I mean
goodness.
they do a good job. Like I really do like. I do like that they bring the Kentucky into everything that they're doing. You know, they took it seriously when they did it. They're not like these other ones that we've talked about before that are just like turn and burn and buy stuff from other places and never really have any plan to build their own, factories or anything like that. So
Yeah, I actually appreciate so much the things that you said. First of all, the bottle, like you said, is beautiful. I think it's gorgeous. Okay.
It definitely stands out.
and it's got the embossed
Yeah, it's got the embossed
Yeah.
bottom.
logo on there, the bottled and bond.
I like how it looks like a black and tan beer that the bartender
No,
made.
it is.
Yeah.
It's good. It's awesome. And I think all their bottles are pretty much the same. Like, they got the single barrel and they got the rye and all that stuff.
They
It all
put
looks
different
the same.
things like embossed looks on them and things like that. But I mean, even their barrel picks and the way that the stickers go on them and everything, like they're just fantastic. And the transparency, that's one thing I wanted to highlight that you talked about in the bottle. In a era where we're dealing with a lot of people that aren't transparent about where they're getting stuff or what they're doing, all the way down to the mash bill, for a purist is going to love this. It's bottle and bond. It has all the information right on it. You know exactly where it's coming from, what's going on. I love the fact they put that on the bottle because that's just not something we're seeing a lot of nowadays, even with the big guys.
The synthetic cork sucks. But other than that, I hate that. But you know what? It makes a great...
Very tight seal.
Yeah, and it makes a great sound when you open it, with the synthetic cork. But no, it's cool. Like, they do a really good job. I went in there the other day to the gift shop. I've never been on a tour there or anything, but I went in the gift shop, and I mean, it's just really nice in there. Really, really nice. And they're not ripping you off in the gift shop. I think these bottles are pretty much the same price at the gift shop as they are at whatever store you get them in.
Do they offer anything more at the gift shop?
I didn't see anything. I think they had a distillery pick of their single barrel, which of course there's single barrel picks out there, especially around here at just about every store. And I think they had like one of those maltsters or peatsters or something like that.
Peatster.
Peatster.
Yeah, where they take the back set and
Yeah, I don't know what that is. It sounds too much like scotch to me, so I'm staying away from that.
Yeah, they want to do a lot of experimental stuff, so that we're starting to see that roll off the lines there. But
well, it isn't like and they, like we said, they waited their time. They were patient. Most companies probably can't do that, but they waited their time, and now it's like everything's 4 years though. So it'd be interesting to see how good this really is at 4 years, and knowing that they could easily be 6 years now if they wanted.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we said, but the MSRP is $34.
I think you can buy this pretty much in any state now.
is it available everywhere still?
I mean, I don't know if it's every state, but it's probably more states than not. At least this one. I don't know about the single barrel, but I think this one is. This is a Costco find here. It's one of those ones where you go to Costco and they got like 400 bottles of it there.
Yes.
But
But to be clear, though, because when we have something that's regional distribution, it starts and it's right here in our backyard. Of course, we're going to see it all, and it's going to be abundantly available. But I'm not sure. I don't think, like, for example, I was just in South Carolina, and I don't think they're in the South Carolina market. I could be mistaken. If they are, the liquor stores I was at did not have it.
well, if you go past 7 o'clock, you're not going to find out in South Carolina anyway. So
That's true. That's true. Yeah, they're pretty depleted down there. But I mean, there's places. I'm sure there's markets where we don't have this.
Well, gentlemen, you want to go ahead and for the first notes?
There's definitely a butterscotch.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think when all of us first poured this one and we started nosing it, we were kind of like confused. And then as we nosed it more, that note that Michael just talked about is definitely coming out the butterscotch. Get a little citrus.
open up a little bit?
Maybe, yeah, it's just getting it to open up. Little citrus, little honey with the butterscotch.
The generic caramel bourbon notes there, but it has a nice caramel smell.
Mm-hmm. And what was the other note that you were talking about? Because I'm picking it up now. That was
The other note was brown sugar.
brown sugar and a little bit of tobacco.
Yeah, a little bit of tobacco. And
Ooh, yeah, I get that
feel
for
like
sure.
I'm getting,
How would you know that, Steven? Are you a smoker?
This is vaping.
You just been vaping?
And I feel like I'm getting a little sweetness of bubble gum out of this.
Oh, yeah.
That might be your vape. Get the vape and bubble gum, like the kids at school. They don't really vape that much anymore, but because I think you gotta be 21 now. Did you all know that to buy cigarettes and vape stuff?
Oh, I had
Wait, just cigarettes or vape?
Any kind of like tobacco products. It's
I had
now
no
just
idea.
like alcohol. You gotta be
21?
21.
Really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
I didn't know that either. But anyway, I just happened to see that at the gas station the other day. But it was always funny, the kids that were vaping in the bathrooms.
Yeah.
You always knew like whatever the hot flavor was. You walk into the bathroom and it smells like blueberries. You're like, all
Yeah.
right, somebody's been vaping in here. But
Well, I used to chew tobacco a long time ago, and when I smell tobacco notes in bourbon, it reminds me so much of like chewing like a Skull Straight or Copenhagen, that kind of tobacco flavor.
What if you were 18 and you were buying cigarettes, and then they changed the law, and the next day you have to wait 2 more years after you've been buying them for a year? You know, like
Yeah.
Cold turkey.
I know. They talk about a way to quit.
Wow. Never thought about that. She going for the...
Just go for the first sip.
It's got a long burn, but I think it might be like the rye. You know, kind of a spicy.
Right.
It's definitely got the spice. Ooh.
And I've had the single barrel, which is about what, like 10 proof points. I don't know, but what's the proper term there?
Yeah, probably
10 points.
10 points.
Yeah.
10 to 15 more proof.
Yeah.
Proof points higher, so it's usually like 110 or so, 111.
Yeah.
You know, I've had that, and to me, I think that is a lot smoother.
I agree with you.
Than this, which is weird because it's the same age. You know, but higher proof.
Why do we think that is?
We got a small batch and you're mixing barrels to a certain flavor profile and taste versus the people that are picking getting a chance at what, you know, everyone's heard the term honey barrels, but it's probably got more to do with that people are really getting a shot at some really unique barrels that we've talked a little bit about the different places where they age in the warehouse and what that could mean. So,
And I certainly haven't had every single barrel, so there might be some out there that are
yeah,
worse than the others. They have the...
in fact, yes, my first time I bought New Riff single barrel off of somebody who is a buddy of mine, a gentleman by the name of Andrew, we'll call him.
Shout out to Andrew.
Shout out to Andrew. So he had a single barrel pick and he sold it to me because he said he just hated it. And so,
What a good friend.
yeah, exactly. I took that thing and I loved it. That thing went down pretty quickly. But
got any Weller 12s you hate? I'll buy those from
I'm
you.
buying Weller 12s.
Asking for a friend.
There you go. Exactly right. I don't know. I tend to gravitate toward their single barrel more, and that means that I haven't had this one a whole lot. I'm, pleasantly surprised. The taste, there's some interesting notes. I get a little bit of citrus, a little bit of cinnamon, but I definitely get the ethanol that Michael's talking about.
Yeah, I can't get past it. Like, I'm not getting any other taste other than the burn and the spiciness.
I don't know. It's not terrible. I actually kind of like it.
Well, this is definitely the smallest company, right, that we've tried. I mean, they don't have 15 brands. They're not, they haven't been doing this for hundreds of years. They don't have all these different varieties. They're craft, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah.
So,
And
we
we had
pretty
the longest,
big size craft, though, but...
Yeah, but still, I mean, comparatively to the big guys, they're not.
Well, yeah, they're certainly not Jim
putting
Beam
out
or
a ton.
Heaven Hill, but...
And I will say this: we talked a lot about the fact that we didn't want to really do a whole lot of craft stuff on, when we were having our podcast and talking about the discussions we had around bottles. But with New Riff, it's a little different because they are a company that we've known of for a long time because of OKI, and then they're doing a lot of great things. I mean, for craft. I mean, in 2 years, we might not even be calling them craft in Kentucky. That's, what I mean?
So, okay, so they're probably similar in size, and I was thinking about, like, things that you can see find in other states and find things you can find. They're probably similar in size to, like, Peerless, which is in Louisville. They're a lot cheaper than Peerless.
It's funny, they're under the craft.
And we love Peerless. Like, we've had it, we've gone to the distillery, we've tried it, but they're really expensive.
That we consider them craft because regionally we've seen them on the shelf for so long now. And there's several varieties of it. There's a small batch of picks. There's always a store pick somewhere.
Yep.
There's the rye.
Mm-hmm.
They're always on the shelf, and I just, just go get a New Riff. It's no big deal, but it's funny at least that they're actually a craft.
Yeah. I wonder what the difference between the rye and this... I've never had the rye, so I don't know if you guys...
I don't know what the bill is.
But I mean, it's like, that's what I wonder if it's like, we've had 2 ryes so far in 2 different episodes, and they've both been like 51% rye, like the bare minimum. So this is already pretty dang close to that
30,
as it is.
35,
right.
30%.
So, like, if their rye is 51%, it can't be much different, Like, it'd be interesting to...
When this stuff
Sounds
first...
like we knew their episode.
I agree, because when this stuff first hit the shelf, I bought a small batch, just like we're drinking tonight, and the rye, and I started mixing them together and sort of experimenting with a smaller amount of rye and a little bit more bourbon in a glass, like in a Glencairn, and swirling it around. And I've actually found it to be more pleasing than either of them separately. And so I was trying in very futile fashion of trying to get the attention of New Riff and telling them, hey, can you guys do some kind of thing where you blend your bourbon and rye?
So you created a bry.
Something like that, right? A bry.
Bourbon.
A bourbon. A bull rye. Yeah. But I was hoping I could get their attention because I thought that they could really do something great with a blended product. What do you guys think about the finish of this?
Well, at first it was long and
Harsh.
it had a hub to it. Now it just seems to be like it's just a nice finish now.
Yeah, just a medium
Yeah.
to short finish. But my experience has been, and I'm kind of feeling that same experience tonight, is that the more you sip this, the more different complexity you get to it. I don't know if you guys feel like that. To me, I feel like you can't just go by your first sip with a New Riff small batch or even a single barrel, because it just sort of evolves. At least that's the way it's always been for me.
I've enjoyed all the actual notes that we've gotten from it. Normally you can't do that with a 4-year-old. I mean, we were able to handpick a handful of notes out there that on some bottles I can say we probably don't even call it that many for such young bourbon.
Well, this has been interesting because I see people in some of my, especially the out-of-state Facebook groups, they're always picking this up. Like, they like it. It's probably unique to them, the bottle. Maybe it's the bottle, maybe it's the brand, maybe it's whatever. Being craft, but also being available in other states. I feel like they're getting something local to Kentucky, even though, Heaven Hill is local to Kentucky. They don't think about it that way. But anyway, I always think, man, if they only knew, you could get the single barrel. I could never see myself buying this bottle just because, the single barrel is really good. Why would I buy the regular when the single barrel is not that much more expensive?
It's like $20 though, right? $15, $20.
$15 or $20.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it's so available. You sit at the store and you can get either one of these things.
And a pick.
Yeah, and a pick, right? So I don't know.
Maybe liquor store to pick almost.
Yeah, it's just I've never thought about this bottle.
I haven't either.
I've never thought about this bottle until we decided we were going to try this just the other night.
I agree. The single barrel picks, that's more what I've had more of, and they are pretty excellent roundly in my opinion. So I do agree. This has kind of been the oversight of, or it's just an afterthought.
I wonder what they're doing. I wonder if they're holding anything back. We're going to get a nice special 6-year or 7-year release here, 8-year release, 10-year.
Be nice.
Well, you know what they did hold back? They held back some of their old MGP stock, and they recently did a charity raffle bottle for they called it the New Riff brand. And so it was released under the New Riff label, and it was 15 years old, but it was obviously their old MGP stock that they had left over, and they did it as a charity charity sort of fundraiser for local restaurants, and people hit hard by the pandemic. So that was really cool of them to do that. And I don't know if any of you guys have ever had the chance to listen to Ken Lewis on multiple podcasts and places he's been. You can listen to that guy talk forever, the owner of New Riff. He talks about all the things he's proud of with this brand and this bourbon, the distillery, and it's so enticing in a way that you really want to go drink some New Riff after you hear him talk. So kudos to him. He's a heck of a salesman. Hey,
shout out to our friend Chris that used to live in the Newport area up there. He was talking about helping the restaurants out. They knew all the best breakfast places in Newport, like IHOP and all the local places, Chick-fil-A.
They get a lot.
I don't know. Maybe they listen, maybe they don't. But we were always looking for a place to eat breakfast up there. And how about the IHOP?
Oh my gosh!
Well, let's try the IHOP then. Sure.
Well, fellas, would you pass, try, or buy on the New Riff BiB?
I'd pass, just because the single barrel's better, and it's available here.
Okay, that's two different price points, though.
Well, I don't care.
You just want the single?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to go with a try. As much as I like New Riff and I like what they're doing there, I actually enjoy their rye, small batch rye, and the single barrel more than I like the small batch bourbon. The reason why I'm saying try is because I have been a very strong proponent of people that are out of state, friends, family, whoever. What can I get if I'm in Kentucky that's unique? I always talk to them about New Riff because I know it's not available in all markets. And so I tell them, you want to try that one because they're doing a lot of great stuff. Just like I've similarly said stuff about Wilderness Trail to other folks as well. Because I put those two on the plane of right now, Peerless, maybe a couple others, can't be beat. They're great up-and-coming distilleries in Kentucky. So definitely try. How about you, Steven?
I'm a little torn between the try and buy. I definitely would try it. I've enjoyed it this time around. But my only hesitation is the price point. Being mid-30s, can you get something in the upper 20s that would be comparable to it? I don't know the answer to that. I'm just but I would definitely try it. It's nice. It's got some nice notes for being only 4 years old.
You make a really strong point about the price here, because in that $30+ price range, it's competing with some heavyweights. And not only that, but it's almost like, I don't know about you guys. I feel like the $30 to $40 price range is just one that is forgettable. I don't know why.
You're right. I don't.
No, like we talked about it on a few of them. Like $25, 25 to 30 is kind of where.
Yeah,
there's a cutoff. For some
people. That's where you can name. You could probably name 10 or 15 different
and then
models.
The next thing you think of is 50,
right?
40, the 40 50 range, but that 30.
I even think of it like, I don't know if I got like a mental block, because, like, for example, Four Roses Single Barrel used to be a $29.99 bottle, and then when they raised the price of it, it started being like $35, $40 everywhere. I just forgot about it. It was almost like it just left my brain once it got that range.
You start getting into barrel pick and single barrel, range.
At that point, $5 more, you can get.
That was my point on the whole pass. $49.99 for the barrel pick of this. I'm gonna pay $16 more and get that. I mean, I'm not drinking this thing every day anyway, so it's like, I might as well pay that. But
yeah. And honestly, if you got a bunch of groups that are doing picks here, which in Kentucky, every group everywhere is getting access to these
picks.
new Riff picks, like everybody. They're usually $50, 45 in some places, $45-$50, and you get your hands on them.
All right, so you talk about the picks. We get them everywhere around here. So now I think what I've seen is people come up to Kentucky, and they come up to the Bourbon Trail, and then they go back home, and they're always like, oh, look at my haul when I got to the Bourbon Trail. And they come up here and they visited Buffalo Trace, and they visited Heaven Hill, and they visited all those places, and they've got 50 bottles. First of all, who buys 50 bottles of things when they go for a weekend? You had to have spent $2,000 on these things, and then they've got these bottles, and they come back to wherever they are, where they're from, Florida or South Carolina or whatever, in Ohio, whatever, and they come back and they're showing off all their bottles and all that stuff, and I'm looking at their pictures, and I'm like, you didn't get that on the Bourbon Trail. That's a Weller 12. If you got that on the Bourbon Trail, you paid $250 for it. Or you didn't get that. If you got that, you bought it at a liquor store in one of the towns that you were in, and you paid secondary for it. You're not finding those things, man. Like, we're here, know.
You got taken advantage of if you're coming in. You got off a exit of the highway there to close one of those liquor stores close off the exit.
The same way with like people here in Kentucky do it too, right? We see it in our local groups where they go, they'll go to Tennessee or North Carolina, and they'll be like, look at my haul and they come back, and I'm like, okay, well, first of all, you went to North Carolina. They don't sell anything except like at the state controlled thing, so you didn't find anything special. I don't understand what you're showing off here.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
I was that's a good point about the picks, because I had to go to a family function recently. Shout out New York, New Jersey.
Yes.
And when they're getting the bourbon, some of my family members, they're asking me, recommendations and stuff, and I say if you can get the pick, and they didn't know what a pick was. So I don't think picks have reached the Northeast yet.
I think Knob Creek picks have.
They're probably the local gas station.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got a Knob Creek pick, right? That's our every episode joke right there.
Oh man, yeah.
No, you're right though. I mean, like, I think you get some picks, like, a Buffalo Trace or Knob Creek or something like that. But yeah, you're right. Like, they don't really understand what that is. And especially like in the last year, I'm sure nobody's been able to do especially if you're not around here, you haven't been able to do a pick, because of COVID. So,
it's funny you brought up that about when people come out of state. I was just recently in South Carolina, and I was not in a very largely populated area of South Carolina. And so I only stopped at 2 liquor stores, and one was very, very small. And without naming that liquor store, I will just say this. They are not really, I saw some decent stuff on the shelves, but they're not really bourbon-centric. And even if they got people that are after bourbon, they know what they're looking for. They're not like looking for a guy like me who comes in from Kentucky and knows his stuff.
They're not ready for people to ask questions.
Yeah, I asked a couple questions at a couple of stores I was at, and I got some answers that, I'll just say this, I was kind of like, whoa. If you're selling that story to somebody and they're listening to it, then good luck to them and good luck to you, because there was some interesting things that I was told by some store owners when I was down in South Carolina. And I got some good buddies down there that might listen to this podcast, and I know they have to really work hard to get their bourbon. So, it's not all states are not created equally when it comes to.
You know what? Look, when we go out of state, just like Steven just mentioned when he went up to New Jersey, like we go looking for things that, like, hey, I would love to come back with a haul, but like. I ain't coming back with anything that I can't get here.
Yeah.
I see people that
especially if you're flying.
Right. I see people come back with like Basil Hayden 10 and stuff, and I'm like, come on, man, you could have bought that here. What?
Yeah.
So like we go to Florida or we go to someplace like that, and we come back with the Heaven Hill 7-year bib that they don't sell in Kentucky.
It's hard to get.
Right. Or the Elijah
Hancocks.
Right. Or the Elijah Craig Rye that they don't sell in Kentucky. So stuff like that. Or a pick, a Buffalo Trace pick, or something like that. A different single barrel that we can't. So yeah, like I mean. Be smart about like what you're buying. Like, don't just buy because you just get to buy. Like.
I think those days of going out of state and finding like honey holes where stuff was unsold.
It ain't happening.
That's probably at least 2 years past where that's not happening. But I mean, occasionally it still happens. If you're gonna drive like 8 states and stop at every single place, you might find some stuff that you can't get wherever you're at. But
the other thing is like anywhere we go, and people in Kentucky. Right, we only pretty much traveled like the southeast, and those states have nothing. Like they just don't. You go to Alabama, they're all state controlled, so they're not having anything special.
Or if they do, they have like Woodford Reserve behind the counter.
Right. Those signs that you see though when you're on, like I was driving back on state route, like I think it was on 75.
Oh, they have the blends and the patty pictures.
The blends and patty pictures, and then they have the ones that say like small batch bourbon headquarters. I'm like, wow, you're a bourbon headquarters and you're specializing in small batch bourbon.
Watch out.
I mean,
they
are the bourbon headquarters, so I mean,
that's a place you got to stop, right?
Well, you got to stop. Maybe you'll find like, you'll find your bottle for your friend or something,
There you go.
Or you can just buy that on secondary. Be like, hey, I need this for a friend. Give me a discount, right?
Yeah, right.
So.
That'd be the next thing to do. Say, hey, I am going to sell everything to the people in my community for triple the price, but when I need something for a friend who's coming into town, I need it at, 2 to 3 times less than what it should sell for. Just for that friend.
Give me a discount because I'm buying it for a friend. Okay, number one, I don't know you, so why would I give you a discount? Number two, I definitely don't know your friend. Like
exactly. I always look at it like this: if I'm local and you're local, I'm going to charge you like 2 to 3 times what I should because you're an idiot. You can't find it yourself.
Right?
Just kidding.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am totally kidding about that, but.
Or I need this picked up. I need to buy this. I need it today. Okay, well, why would I give you a discount because you need it today?
Yeah.
Like to me, I'm gonna charge you more because you need it today. Like
the bottom line.
Why'd you wait till the last minute to ask me?
When you want rush delivery from a Target, you're not gonna say less.
Oh well, God, he needs it today. Let's just give it to him for free then.
Yeah, the bottom line is what? It's
here.
if you're in a local group or you're in a place where you're asking people for the sun, the moon, and the stars, like they might have it, but you got to pay a little bit extra for that. You can't expect it to be less just because you're in a bind. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And with that, thanks for listening to this week's edition. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Mashup KY. Also, let us know your thoughts on this bottle in the comment section. Until next time, keep it neat.